Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Game Plan. This is the instant reaction, very instant reaction to the NFC Championship game between the Green Bay Packers, yes, and the San Francisco 49ers. And look, I'm actually calling this one. I'm recording this. It is not even officially halftime yet. It is now 27 to nothing. The fumbled snap, there was a muffed punt for Green Bay. Raheem Mostert, who I've been talking about for a couple years now, just probably being the most explosive back on that roster, on the 49ers roster. It's just not Green Bay's day. Now, it's not surprising to me. I actually picked Green Bay. The line was Green Bay plus 7.5. I'm sorry, I picked San Francisco. And I picked San Francisco correctly, I might add. This week I missed the Tennessee. I picked Tennessee plus 7.5. I took Green Bay minus 7.5. Now, I took San Francisco. I thought it was going to be a closer game by halftime. I was completely wrong on that. I thought San Francisco, what they did in the first half is what they would do in the second half. But in reality, Green Bay is an interesting team. Now, here's the good news, Green Bay fans, and I'm not trying to pile on. I know it's a rough time. In 27-0, we are now officially in halftime. We can close the books, or at least I am closing the books. And if Green Bay comes back, if they make the most miraculous comeback since the Buffalo Bills came back against the Houston Oilers back in the day, and maybe even that 28-3 overtime win for the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. If they do that, then I'll come back and I'll do an entire video with my shirt off, just so that I can be made fun of the Green Bay Packers fans, and maybe I'll write "I was wrong" in big green and yellow letters on my chest and everything. But the reality is that Green Bay just didn't match up well against San Francisco. Now, like I said, I thought that they were going to do better in the first half, but what I failed to really take into account was that in addition to Green Bay facing San Francisco the second time around, I failed to take into account that Kyle Shanahan as a play caller, he's pretty darn good. He is elite, as we're all finding out now. And this is the second time now that the San Francisco 49ers offense and Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan are facing Green Bay defense. Green Bay, no answer for the run game. San Francisco, anything they wanted to do in the run game they could have. Let me just read the stats at halftime. Aaron Rodgers, 9-12 for 64 yards. That doesn't look too bad, although you want to see like 10 yards per completion. With 64 yards, they're not getting a lot. San Francisco, once again, they have the best passing defense in the league. And when you have the best passing defense in the league, in Green Bay, I know you're a run-first team, but let's remember that Green Bay's only receiver that's done anything all season long is Davante Adams, and this is a very glaring weakness. I've been talking about this with Green Bay with respect to Green Bay for a while. I talk about this with the Houston Texans without Will Fuller in the lineup. They're a different team. Green Bay needs anybody to step up, and Allen Lazard's probably done the best of that all season long. However, they need a playmaker. And I was texting my buddy Brad, who co-hosts the Get Paid podcast with me, and he's a huge Green Bay Packers fan, and I feel so bad for the guy. I've just been texting him amusing gifs. Every time something bad happens to Green Bay, I text him a gif or something, because I'm trying to make it's my charity this evening, trying to make a Green Bay Packers fan smile. But as I've been saying to Brad, and he knows it, Jimmy Graham is not a dynamic playmaker at tight end at this stage in his life. Ever since he left Drew Brees in New Orleans, his career has gone downhill. He was a very good red zone target for the Seattle Seahawks. I can't say he's any better a red zone target than Will Dissly has been in recent seasons for the Seattle Seahawks. And now that he's in Green Bay, he's really just not really doing that much. And again, if he comes out and catches 4 touchdowns and Green Bay wins 28-27, I'll eat my words on that too, but I'm pretty confident that's not going to happen. Green Bay, they need a playmaker opposite Davante Adams. That's their big homework assignment in the offseason. Their team has scored, I think, an average of net like 3 points per game. It's a little bit odd for a 13-3, now 14-3 team. I guess soon to be 14-4 after the conclusion and posting of this video, to be a net 3 points per game team. This is a nightmare matchup for them. It just wasn't going to go well. And let me go through here. Aaron Jones in the first half, 9 carries, 49 yards. That's actually pretty good, right? Jamal Williams, 1 carry for 3 yards. Aaron Rodgers, 1 carry for 0 yards. You look receiving-wise, Allen Lazard, 2 catches, 32 yards to lead the Packers offense. Davante Adams, 1 catch for 7 yards. If I read you those first half numbers, you'd be praying, Green Bay fans, that the 49ers were held scoreless because it's not a good day. Meanwhile, let me read you Jimmy Garoppolo's numbers. 4 for 6. These are Ryan Tannehill stat lines, by the way. Not really, but 4 for 6 in the first half. 6 attempts in the first half because he hasn't had to throw. 48 yards. This is like the way that San Francisco was winning their games in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. And people were talking, all season long about, San Francisco, who have they been? And I'm sorry, I think I meant to say San Francisco. That's the way they've been winning early games in the season. And people have been saying, San Francisco, what have they done? Who have they beaten? Yada, yada, yada. The thing is, when they played Baltimore and lost to Baltimore and a bunch of other games, they were missing key defensive players. They were missing their top 2 offensive tackles. Staley was out, and McGlinchey, I think it is. Forgive me if I got the name wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's McGlinchey. They were missing them for games during the season. This is the healthiest that San Francisco has been pending the second half of this game, and it's a very unfortunate injury to Tevin Coleman. But as we see with Raheem Mostert, do they really need him? Raheem Mostert's numbers in the first half, let me read this to you. 14 carries, 160 yards. Oh my gosh. 11.4 yards per carry from Mostert in the first half. He's on pace for 300 yards in the game. He's not going to get there, but 3 touchdowns. 6 carries for 21 yards for Coleman, the injured Coleman. Breida 1 carry, 2 yards. Of the receptions, Deebo Samuel, of the 48 yards, Deebo Samuel has 46 of them. Kendrick Bourne also has 6 yards, and Raheem Mostert has negative 4 yards completion. So, look, Green Bay, they're going to put it up on, I thought... I'm sorry, San Francisco is going to put it up on Green Bay the whole time. I am going to get the San Francisco minus 7.5 pick right. I also picked the under, and the over-under was 45 in this game. So we're only 18 points away from that. We'll see how it goes. I don't really feel great about the over-under in that. I got it right in Kansas City, but got the pick wrong. I'm probably going to get the inverse here, get the pick right, but the over-under wrong, and we'll see. The very likely scenario here, everybody, is we're going to get what I think is a very great matchup, the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs, if everything holds in this playoff game. Green Bay, big thing. Let me just say this, and another thing I said to Brad, Green Bay fans, is if you can figure out, and my true guess, and I am certainly not a psychologist, my true guess is Antonio Brown has who was his name? Brandon Marshall had long time ago. I think he's got something going on mentally, and in the case of Marshall, it was, I think, multiple personality disorder or something like that. If Antonio Brown can somehow, and I'm not saying this, but somehow get his head right and wind up in Green Bay, now that's a team that can beat San Francisco and get into the Super Bowl. But Green Bay's offense needs 2 more, not 1, 2 more receiving threats to compete with New Orleans and San Francisco next year. And that would be an outside receiver, somebody with some speed in the draft. Just pick a guy. 2 guys that come to mind that meet the criteria, I would think, for what Green Bay and what would fit and help them open up the top of the defense. A guy like Marquise Brown, who I believe was a first-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens last year, or a guy like McCole Hardman, who might have been a second-round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, as just a speedster on the other side of Devontae Adams to open up the other side. Will Fuller is the speedster in that Houston offense, and they're a different team when he's in there. They also need a tight end. No more of this patchwork. They had Jared Cook a couple years ago, and they let him go, I think, to Oakland back in the day. Now he's in New Orleans, obviously. They need a playmaker. Jimmy Graham is not that guy. So Green Bay, very good season. Congratulations, but this is a very bad way to end the season. It's a rough. I'm not going to, pile on anymore. It's a tough one. San Francisco, full strength. They look scary. They look like every bit as good as Baltimore looked when they were on their run before the playoffs. And Kansas City's playing their best football. I would say early pick, I would have to go with San Francisco based on what I'm seeing now, again, pending any injuries in the second half. But I have 2 weeks now, 2 weeks and a day, to talk about the perspective at this point, but most likely Super Bowl matchup of the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Check out my AFC video as well. I had the instant reaction after the game was complete for the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs game, that was much closer and I think a much better played. Green Bay, my goodness, the fumbled snap, the interception from Rodgers, which never happens, just was not their day, Green Bay. But live to fight another day. I love Aaron Rodgers. I would love to see him get another Super Bowl, so I'm disappointed. But I also like what Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers organization is doing. So, yeah, congratulations, 49ers. Congratulations, Green Bay, on a season that really exceeded your expectations. Believe me, if I asked you before the season, hey, would you take the Green Bay Packers playing against the 49ers in the NFC Championship at a 14-3 record going in, you'd take that. Very great season. You still some work to do. San Francisco, that is a very young, talented, aggressive roster. The defense flies around. The offense is just getting better and better. Garoppolo, that second-round pick for Garoppolo, is looking pretty good, and it might be looking pretty bad now to New England, although they did win their Super Bowl with Brady last year. So there you go, everybody. Once again, check out our other videos. Please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. And I guess now on to the Super Bowl, and I guess on to the second half of the NFC Championship game.